Okay, good evening, everyone. You're welcome to today's series of Each One, Teach One. And today, we have a very special guest and a very special topic. Today, we have Mr. Ruchamuzi Ronald, who's going to teach us about, who's going to guide us on setting a standard mock paper. We are teachers, yes, and everyone perhaps would love to set a standard mock examination or any kind of assessment in a standard way. But truth be told, a person like me, I've been in service for around 15 years, but I can't tell you that I can set a standard examination paper. So today's topic is one that I'd really love to pay attention to. And I hope you're all here because Mr. Ruchamuzi has volunteered to come and guide us. First, I want to extend my appreciation to Mr. Michael Wamono of MK Graphics, who's doing for us the graphics of this Each One, Teach One series. Michael, thank you so much. Michael, thank you so much for your effort to help us. And then I also want to thank Shareability Uganda. I hope Mr. Mukalere is on. Mr. Mukalere and Shareability are giving us a digital report system, for the new curriculum for primary school and even for A-level. And by the way, they even have a report system for kindergarten and even lower primary. I think so, if I'm not wrong, if I remember well. So our topic, setting a standard mock paper, is going to be delivered by Mr. Ruchamuzi Ronald, sponsored by Shareability Uganda, the Geek Village, the Kings of Computer Repair, are also part of the sponsors. And then I want to talk about Mr. Ruchamuzi. Mr. Ruchamuzi is the president of the ICT Teachers Association of Uganda, and he is a teacher at Sam Yiga Memorial College and Makerere College School. So Mr. Ruchamuzi, I welcome you to our series today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and please, Mr. Ruchamuzi, guide us. You're very welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to thank everyone for turning up. Indeed, the timing of this session is a bit very tricky to some of us. Many are going back home, others may be busy. But we are going to try our best, and we use this little time we have so that we learn. As they have told you, I'm Ronald Ruchamuzi. I am a teacher of ICT from Sam Yiga Memorial College, Makerere College School. The reason why I'm coming up with this session is not because I don't have any other session to share with you. But one of the challenges we are having as ICT teachers, we have consistently made ourselves weak. We don't want to innovate, first of all. We don't want to be very creative. And we want to subject our learners to external assessments. The reason why I'm coming up with this session is, at least by the end of this session, you must be able to know, just look at the paper and you know that this is a substandard paper and this is a standard paper. Why? First of all, these standard papers are very good. Me personally, I would say I'm very lucky. I've got a chance to set for almost most of the model schools, Mengo, at Unity College, or the Kampala. I would talk of Namiriango. There are a lot of schools which have requested me to set for them papers. But setting a standard paper is not something very difficult. It is something very easier, as we are going to see. One, I'll be sharing my screen. I don't know whether people will be able to see. Let me first open. Okay. Standard assessment. First of all, why do we need standard assessment? Why do we need to set standard papers? One, we need to prepare learners for final UNEB exams. You realize that the more you set these standard papers, the learners get used. They are not surprised to see the papers for the first time. Two, to assess all the required competences and skills. Their competences and skills, we must ensure that they are appearing in the papers. But many of us, we don't mind about this. You end up setting a full paper, let us say for subsidiary ICT, with one skill, scenario based, as if you were in a new curriculum. Three, to desist from using external substandard papers. I'm sorry to say this, but it is external substandard papers. That's why I will call them. These papers, you keep on asking them in the menu groups. I want, who has a paper? I want to tell you this, that what happens today, the people who participate in setting these papers, make sure that they first look through all those mock papers, the likes of Waukesha and others. And what they fear is that they don't want copy and paste. And remember, if like 2 or 3 questions appear in the UNEB and they appeared in the end of the external papers, then next time people will say, we want that one. Teachers will start going for that external mock body papers, thinking that these are the questions that come. So nowadays, the people who set questions are very curious. They make sure that they first look through all the different, especially those prominent mock bodies we have. So they make sure that there is no any copy and paste. You cannot find a replica of a Waukesha question in the UNEB. You cannot find a replica of Matigo and others. But I would give an example. Last year, I made a thorough assessment of my mock paper, which was used in the different schools. And after the exam, I received a lot of calls. The teachers were trying to congratulate me. How did you look into the paper? I said, I sit down, I look at what they have been setting. I make sure that I sent a standard paper without considering other mock papers. So you will find that the questions you have set when you follow the blueprint as we are going to see, you will not be surprised to see that some of the questions will appear in the UNEB final papers. Even testing helps to pinpoint areas for improvement. When you test your learners using a standard assessment, it helps you to check and find out the areas where you need improvement. Even these tests can help schools evaluate progress. So let us go. What are the requirements? Before you think about setting a paper, you must ensure that these requirements are there. One is the UCE UNEB blueprint. which I'm going to share, the USE blueprint, the USE subsidiary ICT syllabus, the UCE computer studies syllabus, and you must be having teaching notes. So these are the basic requirements. You cannot think about setting a standard paper when you don't have a blueprint and when you don't have a syllabus. Why? Because the syllabus is going to be guiding you. Guiding you that this is what you are supposed to set. Many of us are seeing substandard question. We are seeing ultra-vast questions in these papers because the people who said don't mind about the syllabus. Yet the syllabus, it is the guiding principle. You cannot set a paper when you don't have a syllabus. It will keep on guiding you that this one you have gone far. This one you are there. This function is there. This function is not there. In practicals, I have seen many of you setting relationships at senior 4. I've seen many prominent mock bodies setting that competence or that skill of relationships. Yet it is the very syllabus which was very clear that the emphasis should be only on flat file databases. I've seen Mero Marge and others. Let us start with the blueprint. Why? This one is going to guide you to set a standard paper required to assess your learners. I'm going to start with O level. At senior 4, these are the topics we have. We have computer studies. At senior 4, we call it computer studies, not even ICT. It is computer studies, CST. So when you are going to set the objectives for senior 4, you must first get this test blueprint. MCQ is for multiple choice questions. And this is how you're supposed to arrange those 20 questions, the objectives. Introduction to computers must be with 3 questions. You make sure that in the objectives, you have 3 questions about introduction to computers. I'll talk more about knowledge comprehension and application. Then computer hardware, 2 questions. Computer software, 2. Then word processing 1, presentation 1, system startup and configuration 2, computer communication and networking 2, spreadsheets 1, web design 2, database 1, elementary computer programming. That one I'm putting it in red, reason being, last year we never got any question from that topic because of the abridged curriculum, and even this year we shall not have questions from elementary programming. Then trends in computing, the last topic. Unfortunately, I've realized in many of the schools I've met and many of the teachers, the way these topics are arranged, you confuse them with those ones of A level 2. They are topics which you have very limited notes. For example, system startup and configuration, plus 20 in computing. So at the end of this presentation, I will make sure that I share some of these topics and the presentations. Then we can go. The competences is said in the MCQ or the objectives. You are going to be looking at the 3 competences down. 1 is knowledge, 2 application, 3 comprehension. You must make sure that the objectives bring out those 3 competences, not setting one thing. You find a paper, the paper is having 20 objectives, but they are testing only one thing about application of knowledge. One paper is testing only comprehension, remembering. So what is a question? If a question is, what is a knowledge-based question? If an objective question is knowledge-based, what does that mean? It is testing the learner's ability of reasoning and give a response. You must make sure that you bring an objective question to test the learner's ability of reasoning. Then you must know the topic here. That introduction to computers, computer hardware, networking, spreadsheets, databases, elementary programming, and trends. And that makes a total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 questions only about knowledge. There must be only 7 questions testing the learner's ability of reasoning about computers. Then when you go, knowledge-based question is testing the learner's ability of reasoning and give a response. I have prepared one sample here. That which one of the following is not a specification considered when buying a new laptop? Now, do you want to test whether the student can reason when it comes to specifications and factors? If I talk about specifications, are they the same as factors? You see that the amount of RAM, the processor speed, the cost of the laptop, and the hard disk capacity. So this question is testing the learner's ability of reasoning. You are asking the student that if I want to buy a computer, what do I consider as a specification and what do I consider as a factor? Because factors, though some of the specifications can become factors, but specifications cannot become factors. You cannot say the cost of the laptop. That is not a specification. The durability of the laptop, the security, those are not specifications. So such a question is testing the learner's ability of reasoning. So 7 questions must be testing the learner's ability of reasoning in the multiple choice questions. Then we go to application, practical. It is not practical what we do, but it is intended to test whether the student practically understood the topic or the concept. Now we go back to the practical part of each topic. Many of us, when we are teaching the theory paper, we tend to teach as if we are teaching history, where they talk about networking and you tell them that network is a connection of 2 or more computers. So application, we are going to see that at A level, this is what they want specifically. Application is all about, have you practically demonstrated to your learners the concept? You are talking about a wireless transmission media, but have you ever bothered to connect a radio to your PC? Have you ever taken these learners through connecting? So application, they are testing, you are talking about internet. You teach internet as if you are teaching Napoleon Bonaparte. Yet internet is a practical topic. So when we talk about application practical, we are not talking about the applications we have, the Word, the Excel. No, the question is testing the learner's ability of applying the practical part of each topic. Now, when you go to the blueprint, even introduction to computers, computer software, word processing, system startup, web design, and trends in computing. You must test practically those topics. Then I can have another sample question here. This one says, which one of the following examples of storage media has the highest transfer rate? Blu-ray, compact disc, solid state, and magnetic tape. So if we expect that when you are teaching storage media, you are going to get a compact disc, you are going to get a hard disk, let us say, because you may not get a magnetic tape. You're going to get even a solid state drive. Then you practically try to copy data from a computer to the different storage media we have. Because we have magnetic, we have solid state, and optical. So if you are teaching such a topic, it requires you to have practically tried to copy. And the students know that a solid state drive is more faster than a compact disc and even a magnetic tape or these normal magnetic hard drives. So it is testing the practical part. So if a student has ever tried to copy data from a computer to a different storage media, would find this question very easier. So that is another part of the question. Then comprehension. This one is testing the learner's ability to understand the meaning. Comprehension questions. Now, we go back to the notes the student has, and you must check whether they really understand when you are teaching. Because when we talk about cloud computing, does the student has an idea? When you say green computing, can the student define green computing? And that's what we mean by comprehension. When you go back to the blueprint, you realize the introduction to computers, computer hardware, presentation, system startup, computer networking, then web design is going to be about comprehension. So I can have a sample question here. So the use of hosted servers, such as data storage, servers, databases, networking, and software over the internet. 4 options: telecommuting, cloud computing, green computing, and grid. So if you are teaching, let us say, trends in computing, then you are testing now to see whether they really understood you, whether they were following what we are saying. So this is different from the other previous questions we have seen, where they are testing the learner's ability of reasoning, where we are going practically. Now it is tested to see whether the student really understood the concept. Do they have an idea? We have telecommuting. What does it mean? What is cloud computing and what is green computing? Then you go to the elements of the MCQ. This is where we have had the biggest challenge. You don't know how a multiple choice question must be. It must be made up of a stem. It must be having a key. It must be having a destructor. If these elements are missing, then it is not a good multiple choice question. I will give an example of the different questions we have had in the groups, where members try to fail to choose what is correct. That means that the center of that question never bothered to include what we call the elements of MCQ. So today I will talk about some of these elements. What is a stem? For each and every question you are going to set, it must be having a stem. And the stem, this is the correct answer to the question. And the student is expected to select or choose only the stem. And if the question has no stem, then it is not a multiple choice question. When you look at all the previous UNEB papers, you realize that the setter was following the concept of the MCQ. You cannot find a controversial questions in MCQ. There must be a correct answer where we all agree. So when you are setting a paper, you must ask yourself, will the student choose this question as this choice as the correct answer to the question? If it is not there, then that is not a correct MCQ. A multiple choice question must be having one correct answer. You must make sure that you include only one. Like in this question, the process of converting, no, I've moved far. I've moved far. Yes. Yes. MCQ. The process of converting digital signals to analog signals to be transmitted over telephone line by the modem is in there must be one correct answer. Packet switching is off, debugging is off, demodulation, then modulation. That's how you should set your questions. Then what is the key? This is all about to the learner now. The learner must be able to read and understand the question. You must make sure that the learner is going to interpret the question. The key is intended to direct the learner in finding out what is the question all about. So like in the other previous question, the key was one, to know that when I convert from digital to analog, when a modem converts from digital to analog, that is the key. Now, what do I mean? And when a modem converts from analog to digital, what do I mean? So you must make sure that there is a key in that question. Even if you're going to make corrections, you must tell the learner why you failed. Because you failed to interpret that this question wanted one convert from digital to analog, not from analog to digital. So you must make sure that even when you are making corrections, you tell them that the reason why you failed this question, it is because you failed to interpret the question. The key was here. When do we convert from digital to analog, and when do we convert from analog to digital? Then we have this structure. When you are setting an objective question or MCQ, you must make sure that you put there a destructor. Unlike geography, we always have only one destructor. And this is the wrong answer that looks and seems to be the correct answer to the what? To the question. It is intended to distract the candidate from choosing the correct answer. Because if a student doesn't want to interpret, and many of them will end up choosing the destructor. So you must make sure that there is that answer which is wrong and it tries to distract the learner. That's why we include it there. So even the learners must be knowing now. So this structure looks like this one. The key there you can see, it is to convert from digital to analog. But the student will be confused. Demodulation and modulation. And many of the learners will go with the demodulation. So that is how we set the multiple choice questions. You must bring out those competences and the elements in each and every question. Then I can give you another example here. The first calculator that could perform all of the 4 arithmetic operations. The first calculator. You see B is the destructor. People who studied history of computers, you know that Pascal's calculator could not perform all the 4 arithmetic operations. But when I set this question, many of the learners are going to pick Pascal's calculator. Get the correct answer is the step T reckoner. So a destructor must always be there. And this is also another chance of how you can try to guide your learners, because this is how the questions are set. And they must bring out that, what I'm trying to explain. Look at this one. Which one of the following is an example of a wireless transmission media in networking? So we have twisted pair cables, which is the physical, infrared, coaxial cables, and the Bluetooth. I've tried to label. That this question, the answer is infrared waves, but many of the learners will select Bluetooth. So that one ends our story about elements of a multiple choice question. Then we can go to section B. Section B, as you can see, that is the blueprint, the test blueprint we use. What you are going to do, you are going to say question 21 is going to be about remembering what you studied in senior 1. Can this student remember characteristics of third generation computers? Then you must make sure that question 21, remember there are 60 marks and there are 60 questions. How do we set these questions? You are going to say question 21A is about introduction to computers. You must make sure that no question exceeds 6 marks. That is the maximum. Each topic does not exceed 6 marks. So like at this question, 21 is going to be introduction to computers, senior 1. Then part B or part C is about trends in computing. And that closes the story. Then you go to 22. You ask one part about computer hardware, then another part about system startup and configuration. Even when you get a previous mock paper, for mine, it will be following that order. And even for UNEB, that is the order. So you are also, after setting question 22, remember, you can say question 22 is out of 5, part A, then part B or part C. You break them. Then 23 is about databases and spreadsheets. So all these applications we have in paper today come back. In the multiple choice questions, you must test all the applications. Then even in the section B, they come back. All, to see that this is the standard paper, all of the 5 applications must be there, as we can see here. Then question 24, you are going to set about computer communication and web design. So when you ask 24, then you go to 25. Whereby 25 is about Word, Microsoft Word, paper 2. Then computer presentation. PowerPoint. So this is when you have to ask your learners about the different features. Then question 26 is going to be about computer software and elementary programming, which is in red. We may not get some questions from there. So I would try to share one of the papers if time allows, but let us go to section C. Section C, you must set only from the following topics. Elementary programming, removed. Trends in computing, system startup and configuration, computer networking, and computer communication, and lastly, computer hardware. There must be 3 questions from this section, and the student must attempt only 1 with the 20 marks. Then I would try to go to subsidiary ICT. Subsidiary ICT. I can call it subsidiary ICT paper 1. Let me start with paper 1. Paper 1, this is the textbook you are going to use when you are setting questions. And this is where I have had a lot of challenges in paper 1. Because people are not minding about this test blueprint. At the beginning, I told you that you cannot think about setting a paper when you don't have this thing. It must guide you. Then look at how the questions. At senior 4, at O level, we have knowledge, comprehension, application, and analysis. But here, at A level, I mean, we have knowledge, comprehension, application, and analysis. At O level, we don't have analyze. So we are asking only 3 competences Then at senior 6, we add there 10% for analysis. So the percentage, this theory paper, you must make sure there are 2 questions from the practicals. The practical topics we have, either Word, either presentation, databases, or Excel, or desktop publishing. Only 2. If you exceed that, then it is a substandard paper. So senior 5, you are going to test them about introduction to computers, whereby this topic must contribute 2 questions in the final paper. Then get 1 question from computer lab, care and maintenance. Only 1. Computer management, where we have booting, where we have things like files, folders, 2 questions. Then these fundamentals, hardware, software, and the internet must contribute 3. Then data communication and networking, system security, or which you call trends in computing. At Elevate is called the system security, ICT ethical issues, and emerging technologies. Then these ones contribute 2. Then down you can see that the percentage of knowledge is going to be 25 in this paper. Comprehension is going to be 25. Then application 40. Analysis 10%. Then I'm going to break it down. Competences in subsidiary ICT, we have application, knowledge, analysis, and comprehension. I've told you that if question is about knowledge, it is testing the learner's ability to reason and give a response based on the knowledge acquired about computers. When we ask you about computers, can you reason? Can you give a response? Such questions are in this nature. Look at that question. This is a question about knowledge. Sample question in 2017 UNEB, in fact. But they are telling you that study the diagram below. Name the elements. It is now for the student to reason that when I have A, then B and C, what are those elements? Then I can have another sample. Look at this question. It requires a student to reason. So introduction about computers, you must get 1 question in this nature. Testing the learner's ability of reasoning, given 2 computers. Which one would you pick? Can you state 2 reasons to support your answer? It is testing the learner's ability of reasoning. Do you know, when you are testing the learner's ability of reasoning, sometimes we try to go even out of the syllabus. Why? Because we are testing the learner's ability of reasoning, we don't need even to get all the questions from what we have. It is about reasoning. I'm very sure many of you covered this topic, but you never gave your learners advantages of using automation in an industry. But because the student has an idea and has ever visited any internet and he knows how to use a computer, must give us an answer. So you realize that some of these questions may require a student to reason, but even if you don't have the notes, you can still answer them. Then I can give you another sample question. That one says that state 5 advantages of using robots over human labor in industries. We don't cover that. But the questions, they are testing the learner's ability of reasoning. So, but they have a limit. You find a paper is in this format only. All the questions are testing the learner's ability of reasoning, all of them. 20 questions. Then comprehension. So comprehension, we have looked at it even at OLE, that it is testing whether the really the student understood the what? The topic. So with the other previous question, you can gamble around, even if you have not been attending lessons, but you know how to use computers. You know really, you can answer such a question like this one. Students must not be allowed to have mobile phones. That is 2016. Why students in secondary school should not be allowed to have mobile phones? Such a question does not require a student to have been attending your lessons, but it will give you correct answers. So when we are setting these papers, we must make sure that we bring out all of those competences. Then we can go advantages, comprehension. We have said that it is all about testing whether the student really understood. This is how you test also yourself. This is the only way you can test. You are all, this one tests you as a learner. And even you, someone who has been teaching them, it is now to see what I'm teaching. Do they understand? Define the time cloud computing. How did you explain to them? So comprehension requires the student to have understood. What is green computing? What is a blog? Define the term, netiquette. These are the only questions where they are going to move out and they ask. That is, teacher, we have never covered this and it has appeared. So comprehension questions are testing you, even your coverage. You are testing the coverage of the teacher who is teaching that whether did this student start about green computing. Because you cannot gamble with the green computing. If you don't know, you don't know. If you don't have blog, you cannot answer that question. Then look at this question. These ones are called application. Application of ICT. Now, application is 40%. Subsidiary ICT is going to be 40% application. I've told you at senior 4 there recently that when we talk about application, we are saying that have you been really teaching? You are testing the practical part of each and every topic. What is a device driver? What does it do on a computer? How will you change the name of an existing file or folder? How do you format a flash disk? What is the shortcut? The students are ever using programs on the desktop. Identify 3 limitations of using the desktop as a sole file storage location. We don't have those ones in our notes. But practical, when you keep a lot of files on the desktop, what are some of the disadvantages? So applicability. This question, what is phishing? So lastly, 40% is going to be about 40 application, the others knowledge 25, then comprehension 25, application practically. Practical part of each topic is going to be 40, then analyze. You must make sure that you put there 2 questions about analysis. 2, analyze in A level. There must be 2 questions about analysis. And this is a sample of the questions. A question about to analyze, you just look at the information given. 10% must be analyzed. 10, you must make sure 1 is from hardware. 1 question must be from computer hardware. Look at that one. Computer hardware. It is a question about data analysis. You have been getting these questions. You have been having them. Write true or false, and you don't know where they belong. These ones are called analyze. Analyze the data given. Analysis must take only 10%. Only 10. But you find a paper, 5 questions about analysis. Then I can talk about, yes, I've been able to keep the time. The basics. When you go to practical, make sure that you set the basics of each application. We set to tell, don't set to show that you know. And make sure that you know the difference between computer studies and the subsidiary ICT, especially in Excel and databases. We always set A-level questions at O-level. Yet, those questions must not be there. I would talk about things like relationships at O-level. We don't have relationships. I would talk about the VLOOKUP. We don't have the VLOOKUP at O-level. So you must make sure this question is intended, even if a student is very weak, you must make sure that you bring out those things. There must be some marks for saving, data entry, printing, headers, footers, date, and time. So because of time, I'm left with only 7. I'm going to use that 7 minutes and I get some questions from members who have been following. Mr. Dumba, I would request you.
Yes, Mr. Chams.
Yes.
Is that all for us? Thank you so much, Mr. Chams.
That is all I wanted to share. I don't know if there's anyone who has any question.
Yeah. Okay. So good evening, members, once again. Please, you can raise your hand and ask Mr. Chams any questions regarding our topic today. Mr. Chams, someone is asking, do we teach VLOOKUP? Someone is asking in the chat.
Where?
That do we teach VLOOKUP at O-level?
We don't have VLOOKUP function and HLOOKUP function.
Okay, thank you so much.
We don't have it. Totally, no, students must not even use it. The VLOOKUP is not there. Among the functions listed, it is not there. Any other question?
Okay, dear colleagues, as we wrap up, we welcome your questions. Please, you can raise your hand. Mr. Rogers, you can help me moderate this final part of the session. Are you there, Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Yeah, help me opasaganye this last part of the session.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Mr. Dumba. And I want to thank the emphasis really has been very key on setting original questions, because some of us, when they say setting, you just go and look for some past papers, you plug questions from here and there and the other place and get another one. But following the blueprints and looking at the notes and coming up with questions we have is very key. I want to thank Mr. Chams for this. And
Mr. Rogers, we can't hear you.
Hey, you can't hear me. Are you hearing me?
You
No,
can hear, but
there is
there's
some
something in your background.
There's something in my background. Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, there is a funny noise in the background, Rogers.
Hey. I don't know whether it is microphone or something. Microphone. I think there should be something other in my device. Otherwise, there's no noise here.
Okay. It is coming.
It's still coming, yeah? Okay, it's okay. There should be a problem somewhere, yeah? Sorry.
Is it Mwand? Can you give Mr. Mwand?
Excuse me, is it now fine?
Yes.
Yes, you're now fine. And we have a hand from Mr. Mwandi.
Mwandi,
Mr.
let
Mwandi,
us give
please.
that one a chance. Dumba, you said it must be 1 hour, 4 minutes left.
Good evening, members.
Yes, good evening.
I wanted you to highlight practical areas, the difference between practical areas in O level and A level. If you have that thing, really help us a lot. Because for us, we've been teaching all, mixing them.
What was the question?
He's asking about the practicals for the practical areas for O level and the practical areas for A level.
For A level and O level.
Yes.
The areas are those ones which are in the syllabus. The challenge we have, we are not reading this syllabus very well from one to the end, because the syllabus says that use, median, mode. It highlights the different functions to use. Then at A level, it goes on to say you can use lookups. There are even some more information always there down in the syllabus books, but we don't look at them. Like at A level, it talks about down after databases. It says that you can talk about relations in databases, that is relational databases. But many of us don't want to teach those relationships at A level. So the areas, let us stick to the syllabus. What does the syllabus say? You realize that even when you check these previous mock UNEB papers, like from 2008 up to date, UNEB has been consistent. The first time I saw Mero March was in 2008. The first time I saw relationships was in 2008, and that was the end. They have never appeared. That is when they introduced the syllabus, and they have never. So those are some of the features which are not listed in our syllabus. So after the end of this session, I'm going to make sure that I share the presentation, I share the blueprints, I share the notes.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Chams, thank you very much. I see our time is really fast spent.
That one, I've been able to keep it.
Yeah. So just a single word here as I return back the microphone. Yeah. So Mr. Chams, thank you very much for the guidance. So members, the key emphasis, as Mr. Chams has said, the syllabus, and we should really be there. And for example, someone was asking about practical areas. You know very well what is in the syllabus for A level, publisher, database, Excel. So the topics are clearly well demarcated, and what is for O level. And the other one has been support files. This one doesn't have. So we should be able to follow that. And the sometimes setting, for example, objectives, it is not easy. I think there are very few people who set original objectives. They will go and look for past papers and they copy and then they paste. But it is sweet to come up with original questions basing on the syllabus and the notes and the blueprints. Yeah, so that's what I can just supplement because of time. And I want to thank our sponsors, MK Graphics, Shareability, Geek Village, and the ICT teacher session itself for organizing this, Mr. Dumba, and our facilitator for today, Mr. Luchamus. And I want to encourage, we have a lot of resourceful people. We call them examiners, we call them what, but you cannot easily find them sharing knowledge like this. We should really encourage our veteran facilitators and examiners to always come out and really be what they have to be. Otherwise, thank you very much, Mr. Chamuzi, and all the efforts, even the workshops and seminars that are going on to encourage so especially as we see our last lot of students of the old curriculum, really, we should really see, and then later we shall be transitioning into the new curriculum. Thank you very much. Mr. Dumba, over to you.
Maybe Mr. Chams can have a few minutes for Professor T from Busia.
Okay. The only thing I did not talk about that when you are setting those MCQ, you make sure that you have 5 A's which are correct, 5 B's which are correct, 5 C's, and 5 D's. That is the mode. You must make sure that is the format. Or you cannot have 10 A's only. No, there must be 5 A's, 5 B's, 5 C's, and 5 D's, which are correct, to make it a more standard.
Thank you so much. I didn't know that. Professor T, what's your question, sir? Okay,
I can
thank
see.
Professor.
All right, thank you very much.
Mm.
Yeah, I have Hello? Hello?
Yes, go
Professor T,
ahead.
go on.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm asking over this new curriculum. These computer generations are still there in the syllabus?
So the computer generations were removed. I'm going to share even the syllabus for the new curriculum. Good enough, this new curriculum, I liked it. It is very open. All of which were restricted in the other previous curriculum, we are now open. The lookups are there, the mirror merge is there. So everything is open, the new curriculum. But when it comes to theory, generations don't appear, elementary programming doesn't appear. But this is a curriculum where we are free to try to make our learners understand it. So you can try to talk about them if possible. It is not only about assessment, no. Because the students will not ask you, what does ENIAC mean? And you say, that was in the old curriculum. No. And remember, we are using these notes as reference notes. You can use them as reference resources. So when they find them, when they open a book for the old curriculum, they can come and ask you. So you have to tell them. I think we can end.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Someone is asking. Meromaj, the syllabus, the O-level syllabus never talks about Meromaj. Meromaj, let me check, but I don't see the word mailings. Meromaj, no. Let me share the different resources, Mr. Dumba. We will share them to you.
Yes, sir.
And the
So
presentation.
thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Thank you so much, MK Graphics. That is Michael Wamono. Thank you so much, Ability Uganda. That is Mr. Mukalere. And I want to thank myself too, Mr. Dumba, the CEO of the Geek Village, Kings of Computer Repair. See you next Tuesday in our series of Each One Teach One. Have a blessed evening.
And see, Mr. Cham is still in the lab. It's okay.
I couldn't find a place where
okay, good night.
Night.
Bye.